Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, and welcome everyone to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. I am Nipasa Pradhan, and before we start off today's session, a very important disclaimer, and that is by watching our videos, you agree and understand that the information provided by our experts and attorneys, including comments and replies from users, is not legal advice. So, use of information is at your own risk. And once again, welcome to another insightful episode of Immigration and Jobs Talk Show, friends. I'm your host, Nipasa Pradhan, and I'm going to be with you for an hour or so. And it's going to be a wonderful time, let me tell you, because we are going to have with us a very important guest and we're going to discuss something very, very important. But yes, I would just like to welcome you all, wherever you have joined us from, whether on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter. Welcome once again. And yes, we appreciate your participation and enthusiasm, for our discussions here. So wherever you're watching, don't forget to comment and tell us where you're from. And yes, today, like I was telling you, we're going to have a very special guest. So he's going to bring to us a wealth of knowledge and experience to our show, of course. So please join me in welcoming none other than Eric G. Morin. Hello, Eric. How are you doing? Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, Nipasa. I'm wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much. I'm so glad to join you here on the Immigration Jobs web show. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. So, folks out there, this is Eric's first time here, and Eric, really wonderful to have you on board. So, Eric is a retired Foreign Service officer with an impressive 20-year career servicing as a consular officer in the Department of State. He has worked in 10 different US embassies all over the world, providing him with a unique and comprehensive perspective on consular operations and visa processes. Well, Eric, seriously, we're truly honored to have you with us today. Once again, thank you for joining us.
I'm happy to be here, and I'm really happy to help explain this concept of 214B to your audience.
Absolutely. Friends, like Eric has already mentioned, today we are going to discuss and understand better, about 214B and especially the denials. So we are going to check out and see what tips can Eric give us, maybe to overcome all these obstacles that we have. So thank you so much, Eric. And I think, yes, so what can folks expect from us today in this episode?
Well, I think today, first of all, I want to help people understand what exactly is the law regarding visa denials, and then help understand why consular officers use this tool in order to make their visa adjudications. Finally, we can
Mhm.
talk about some of the ways that you can help overcome the 214B presumption of immigrant intent when you apply for your visa. And I think we're going to have time to take a lot of questions. So I'm happy to help people understand maybe they have some particular issue or aspect that they want to bring up that's for them, and I can help you kind of understand what's going on. So hopefully we can cover all of that today.
Absolutely. Me too. I hope we can take up all the questions that folks out there are going to comment today and ask you, maybe. So, also, Eric is, a Udeti visa consultant. And maybe, Eric, would you like to share with us maybe one of something you really want to hear about all these years back?
Right. So as you said, Nipsa, I'm a retired U.S. Foreign Service officer. I spent 20 years working in U.S. embassies all over the world, from literally from Afghanistan to Venezuela. So I've been all over the world, and I've talked to lots of different people from many different countries, many different cultures during the course of their visa interview.
Mm-hmm.
So after retiring from the State Department, I really enjoyed helping people understand more about the visa process. And then I joined Udeti Visa as a visa consultant, where I provide one-on-one visa consultation services. If you have a question about how to prepare for a visa interview, if you have a question about you want to understand what happened at your visa interview, I can give you some insights for based on my experience for as 20 years as a foreign service officer, a visa officer, and kind of help you and give you some advice on how to achieve your goals, whether that's getting a visa, understanding about what happened, or things like that. We're available for individual consultations, and I'm one of the staff that's part of this team.
Very nice. Very honored and humbled to have you here, really. And folks out there, this is going to be of great help. So, if you have any questions, it'll be very nice that you comment. And Eric is here. He's going to be very happy to help you.
Right.
So, and maybe at least give you a little answer to your question, or at least a direction on how to go about it.
Exactly.
And so,
Exactly.
before we dive into our discussion, I'd just like to remind all you folks out there to like, share, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. All right. And yes, your support, it truly helps us in continuing to bring you a lot of valuable content and expert insight. So, yes, now without further ado, Eric, let's dive into today's topic. And
Yes.
I have a few questions, and as we talk about it, we will introduce and get a basic understanding. So, my first question to you is, what is a 214B visa denial, since we're here to talk about it?
Sure, that's a great place to start because a lot of people may not understand why their refusal is called the 214B. So basically, it's based in U.S. immigration law. The fundamental U.S. immigration law is the Immigration and Naturalization Act of 1965. That was the most
Mhm.
recent update to the immigration laws of the United States, and it sets forth all of the requirements for qualifying for a visa and all of the reasons for being able to not for being denied a visa. So, as with any law, there are various sections and paragraphs that kind of delineate the particulars of the law, and
Mhm.
the section of the INA that deals with non-immigrant visas is Section 214, subsection B. And what that basically says is that anyone who applies for a non-immigrant visa is presumed to be an intending immigrant to the United States unless they prove otherwise. So the best way to explain it is this. In a lot of Hollywood movies, especially Hollywood movies set in the United States, the suspect, right, is innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
Under this immigration code, under this U.S. immigration code, uh, a person is presumed to be intending to violate that code by staying in the United States unless they can prove otherwise. So what this basically says is that whenever a person approaches and applies for a non-immigrant visa, such as B1, B2, such as F1, such as J1, the consular officer's starting answer is no, and you have to move the consular officer from no to yes.
Okay. So yes, you have basically so does a denial mean a rejection by any chance?
Well, denial and rejection are similar things. It means that the consular officer just does not believe that you meet the qualifications for whatever visa category you are applying for, and there are many reasons for a visa to be denied. For example, conviction of a crime, terrorism ties,
Mhm.
public health. And those are all different sections of the INA. Those are all denial sections of the INA. But the one that
Mhm.
the consular officers most typically use is Section 214B. And that is the not able to overcome the presumption of immigrant intent at the time of application. Um, so you could there you your visa could be rejected overall, but there could be many reasons for a denial. The most common denial is under Section 214B,
Okay.
and that's why it's
Okay.
become sort of like a shorthand, sort of like a slang term for having your visa refused. And we ourselves use that quite often. We use it as a verb, and it is and it's just a shorthand, a shortcut for us to say his visa was denied.
Okay. 214B. Great. So all right. So what I mean, since we're talking about it, what are the
Mhm.
most common reasons for receiving a 214B denial?
Right. So the obligation is that the expectation, I should say, is that the applicant is able to demonstrate that they have strong enough ties. We use ties in quotation because it can mean various things to their home country that would compel them or that would encourage them to return to their home country at the end of their temporary stay to the United States. So when we are looking at an applicant, to see if an applicant overcomes the presumption of immigration under 214B, we look at different factors. And what we do is we look at many, many different things about an applicant. And then we use our judgment, we use our experience, and we use our training to make a determination if we feel convinced that that applicant overcomes the presumption of immigration or if they do not overcome that presumption of immigration. So I mentioned ties. Ties is a very, very loose word, and it means again things that would compel an applicant to return to their home country after visiting the United States.
Okay.
The most common ties that a consular officer is going to evaluate are going to be personal ties, going to be professional ties, and also economic ties. Although there could be lots of other different things. So when we talk about personal ties usually means family, your spouse, your parents, your children, your extended family, your community at large. All of those things are the personal connections that would again encourage a person to return to their home country after visiting the United States. Someone that has a large extended family, that has many children, that has a spouse, that is a respected member of their community. They've got strong personal ties, to their home, in which they are unlikely to leave in order to remain in the United States. Next is professional ties. This is your job. Professional ties can be enhanced by the level of your position, the length of time you've been at your job, your salary, any other benefits that might be because of your position. For example, maybe there's other benefits for your extended family. There could be housing benefits, anything like that. So, and what the consular officer is looking for is do these professional ties are they again strong enough to encourage a person to return to their home country after visiting the United States? Obviously, someone that has a well-paying job, that has been there for a long time, that has spent a lot of time at this job, is going to have stronger ties than someone who does not have a high-level position, that has not been there so long, that does not earn a high salary. So the consular officer during the interview is kind of evaluating whether the applicant's professional ties where they lie on that spectrum. And the third thing can be, can just be any type of personal information that would, or a personal tie that would compel a person to come back to their home country.
Okay.
As a consular officer, I've talked to applicants and they said, "Hey, I have some dogs that I love. I couldn't leave them behind." I've talked to some farmers who were very, very proud of their herd of cattle, and they knew that they couldn't leave them to be maintained or to be taken care of by their by their helpers because they might not do a good job. So the person thought that their cow herd could be considered a tie. Personal property, such as you're owning your home, owning your land, owning an apartment, could be considered a tie. Savings, anything that is that shows that you have a financial link to your home country, could be considered a tie. So it's not just one, two, or three things. It could be anything. And in the interview, that is an applicant's opportunity to be able to discuss these ties with the consular officer in order to show that they overcome the requirement of Section 214B.
Right. So many reasons. So these are just very generally put friends. There could be
Exactly.
so many reasons for the denial,
Exactly.
but yes, and well, Eric, I'll just say hi to all these folks out there who have dropped their comments and questions so that
Hmm.
they stay with us. So you can see them also maybe. So a big hello to all you folks out there: NBA, Sheldon, Jocelyn, Choi, Shokat, Neha, Hanafi, Arsia, Mikez, Maraj, Shivangni, Well, thank you so much for all your questions, Mohammed and Santana. You just stay with us. We are very surely going to take all of them, hopefully, each one of them. Then, hi to Jonathan and also Mohammed once again. So, just stay with us. We'll be very happy to take up your questions. Are you excited, Eric? So many folks have already dropped their comments.
No, it's wonderful that so many people have questions, and I hope I can provide some insight that to answer these questions and to give you some information. I'm happy to do so.
Me too. Me too. All right, let's move on to the next question that I got for you. And this is, what does it mean when a U.S. consular officer states your visa application is refused?
Yeah,
You are not qualified under Section 214B of the Immigration and Nationality Act. What
yeah,
does it mean?
yeah. So an applicant goes up to the consular officer. The consular officer spends some time with them and asks them some standard questions to kind of understand why they're traveling to the United States, and we ask some general information about their ties, such as employment, such as family, such as financial ties, and things like that.
Mhm.
During the conversation, the consular officer is speaking with the applicant. He's also reviewing the information on the DS-160 application.
Mhm.
And as he is reviewing this information in the DS-160 and the information he gets from the applicant, he is he or she is constantly filtering and sort of weighing each piece of evidence to see if it overcomes the immigrant intent under Section 214B. So we're asking, do you have
Mhm.
a family? No, I have no. An applicant could say, no, I have no family. Well, that's like one mark, no. But I have a grandfather and and I have a lot of land. Okay, that's a mark, yes. Why are you going to the United States? Well, I'm going to go visit my friend for 2 weeks. Okay, that could be a plus or a negative. But if the applicant
Mhm.
says something like, I'm going to stay for 6 months, I'm going to stay for a long time, that's probably a mark negative. So during the conversation and during the interview, the consular officer is constantly making pluses and minuses, and he is then kind of mentally evaluating that versus
Mhm.
standard that the consulate that the embassy uses in order to make a determination. Every embassy in every country is different. The economic situation in every country is different. The political situation in every country is different. And again, the consular officers have experience in knowing what type of applicants are likely to misuse their visa and remain in the United States. So the consular officer is factoring all of that in, and then during the conversation, he comes to a decision.
Okay.
Consular officers are trained to be able to make this decision very quickly because usually visa interviews are very short, as many of you probably know, and they're trained to very quickly come to a decision and see if the presumption of immigration is overcome. If it's clearly overcome, then it's an approval. If it's clearly a denial, then that's quickly a denial. If during the conversation the consular officer is not sure,
Mhm.
that's still a denial, and that's where I think a lot of people just don't understand because they're like, well, I was sort of in the middle. I was, I had some good ties, and unfortunately, the way the law is structured, you have to convince the officer, and if the officer is not convinced, then the answer is no. That's why I said in the beginning, the consular officer starts with the answer no, and you have to move him to yes. And if he doesn't get all the way to yes, then it's just not going to happen. For example, when I was interviewing in a Russian speaking country, I would see people walk up to me, expensive
Mhm.
suit, nice tie, expensive watch, a passport thick with stamps and visas from other countries. I was almost to yes just as he was coming up to me, and before I even asked him a question, because I could tell that he had a very good economic situation. He was obviously someone of much importance. He had established
Mhm.
that he had the economic ability to travel internationally quite a lot. So I was
Mhm.
almost to yes before I even started my interview. Other times I've had applicants walk up to me and I believed every word that they said. I believed why they were traveling to the United States. I totally believed their economic situation about their job and what they did and their salary. I believed
Mm-hmm.
every word of their mouth was true. However, the truth did not make me feel comfortable that they had overcome the presumption of immigration, and it was a denial. So that's a bit of the inside kind of inside baseball to what consular officers
Mm-hmm.
are thinking. So and that's something that I think only an experienced consular officer is going to be able to share, because it can be not obvious to people who are applying about why their visas were refused.
So true, so true. And so there are many chances that you can change, a consular officer's mind from a no to a yes, right?
Yes, yes, and there is, and if you want to, we can sort of talk about that, like if you've been refused a visa before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so those people that have been refused visas before, it can be a very frustrating time. You go through
Mm-hmm.
all of this paperwork, you pay not a small visa fee. It's $185 now. I mean, that's even in the United States, that's not a small amount of money. You
Mm-hmm.
have to spend the whole day coming to the interview. It's a lot of work to get to the point where you come to the officer. You go up to the officer. He or she asks you two or three questions, and then bam, denial, and you're done. You don't
Mm-hmm.
know what happened. It happened so quickly. And I got to say, I was guilty of doing that too, because of the way that our visa interview system works.
Mm-hmm.
We have to work quickly, and we are trained to make decisions, just as quickly as possible. So that's why visa interviews are so short. A lot of people may feel like they didn't get to express themselves, like, well, I didn't say that, or I made a mistake saying this, or I
Mm-hmm.
didn't get a chance to say that. That's okay. That's why everyone who is denied a visa can go ahead and reapply. You're guaranteed that you are able to reapply for a visa at any time after you've been refused. The embassy will not turn you away. We will not say you can't apply. You can always
Mm-hmm.
go in and reapply. What I always and the other thing that will happen is that if you do reapply for a visa, you will be seen by a different consular officer. It's not going to be the same guy. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
at a window here and I see someone come up to me and I see that I've interviewed them before, I'm going to take their passport and I'm going to hand it to the guy next to me, and I'm going to ask him to interview that applicant. Okay, so you get a fresh review of your information. The first thing that the consular officer should do, I always did, I would always ask the applicant, what new information do you have to me right now, today, did you not tell the other guy?
Mm-hmm.
That's key, because generally consular officers are trained to respect the judgment of their fellow officers, and only and visas can only be issued over a refusal if there is new information that was not expressed or that was not available at the previous interview. And this is where it's important for an applicant to be able to say to the consular officer, yes, I was refused, but I didn't get a chance to tell you about my business. I didn't get a chance to tell you exactly about my job or to provide new information. And I
Right.
can't tell you how many times when I would be interviewing in some places and I would ask the applicant, like, okay, I see you're traveling same reason, to the same place. What new information do you have for me? And they said nothing. Well, then I can't do anything as a consular officer. I can't do anything to help you because there's a decision has been made. There's nothing new. The answer
Mm-hmm.
remains.
Okay. So you need a change of decision. You need to give them more, right? And
Got to be new information. Exactly. There's got
new,
to be something new.
right? And also, it could be just a few minutes of the interview, but those few minutes could be very important because
Yes.
that's when, the decision is going to be made and you have to be all in. So,
Yes.
yeah.
And again, the consular officer should be experienced enough to give you that opportunity. Take advantage of that. And you can say, and it's also okay to say something like, I didn't express myself well. I got nervous and I couldn't really explain my job. I don't
Hmm.
think that I was able to tell you tell you about my family, or or anything like that.
Hmm.
It's okay to say, like, I didn't express myself well. I didn't mention that. I forgot to say that.
All right.
That's perfectly acceptable.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, we have, um, sorry, we have Magu who's saying, wow, he has an incredible amount of energy, and the way he explains everything is both amazing and crystal clear. That is
So
so sweet. This is
yes, thank you very much
about
for the
you.
compliment. I appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Magu. Please stay with us, and I hope that you have questions. And if you have more questions, please keep commenting. All right, I think we should take one from the audience just so that they don't mind,
Yes.
because we've been just talking about what we have to and not paying attention much to what they have to ask. So, watching live from Ghana, hi to NBA Sheldon. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from Ghana. And then let's take up this first question from the audience,
Okay.
and that is from Choi. Rejected 3 years ago.
Hmm.
Is this a good word to put on explanation? Reason why rejected. 214B on 2021. I have
Hmm.
graduated, working in ATI, able to
Hmm.
sponsor myself, and have more international travel.
Um, yes, I understand exactly what he's talking about. He's talking about the question on the DS 160 that asks, "Have you ever been refused a visa?" And you would answer yes. Don't ever if you've been refused a visa, don't answer no. We see it right in front of us. It's
Mhm,
just say yes. Okay. Um, you don't really have to write a novel, or a long paragraph about why you were refused. You can just write
mhm,
214B. That's simple enough. You don't really have to give any explanation. The reason is that a consular officer is going to go back and review the case notes that he is making during the interview, about the previous refusal. One little behind the scenes information is that while an applicant is speaking, a consular officer is typing, and we are making notes about what you're telling us. You're telling us, where you're going, how long you're going to stay, and we're making any remarks about your work, your family, anything like that. The reason is because our the adjudications of consular officers are reviewed by our managers and also by people in the Department of State, and they need to know what basis that the consular officer used in order to issue or refuse a visa. So we're making notes, and if I have someone that's been refused, I'm reviewing those notes. So I'll see why you were refused the last time. So
mhm.
in the DS 160 question, you can just put 214B, and that's it. You don't have to write a long paragraph explaining why.
Explaining why you're
Yeah,
214B. Okay,
you don't really need to.
great. Thank you so much, Troy, for your question, and I hope you got your answer. Thank you for dropping by, and I still hope that you're here watching us. And if you have more questions, keep commenting. Let's take another one. This is
Yes.
from Arcia, if I'm pronouncing it right. Seven of us wanted to go for World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Only one of us got approved.
Yep.
All of us share a married man. The
Mm-hmm.
one who get approved are the one who visited far away country. They
Mm-hmm.
don't consider Pakistan or Nepal.
Gotcha.
The,
We would see that. We would see, like a group of guys coming together for some reason. A family coming together, extended family. Maybe two or three brothers and their wives and all of their kids going to the United States for some reason. We would
Mhm,
see sports teams. We would see, the thing is that every applicant is judged on their individual merits. So we can't say, okay, because you're a member of a sports team, you automatically get a visa. Every person is different. Everyone's situation is different, and
mhm,
everyone's is considered on their own merits. That's why maybe you have a group of five applying, two get their visas and three don't. Okay, so the one who got approved are the ones who visited faraway countries. Yes. Um, that is one of the things the consular officers look at. We look to see applicants who have, if they have traveled internationally or not, because as we've done reviews and audits of the visas that we have issued, Applicants or people who have traveled internationally before and used their visas and returned back to their home country, we consular officers have more confidence that they are going to use their U.S. visa appropriately. Okay,
Okay.
if let's say for example there's a person from an underdeveloped country that has traveled to other wealthier countries, and I'm just going to say maybe Bangladesh has traveled. Someone from Bangladesh has traveled to, let's say, Dubai, has traveled, let's say, to Europe, has traveled, let's say, to Turkey, has traveled, let's say, to Singapore. They've made those trips before, and if they correctly use their visas, a consular officer is going to have more faith that that person is going to use their visa to the United States appropriately and then return after their travel. If someone has not done that, the consular officer is not sure. And as I keep saying again and again, if the consular officer is not sure, then that's going to lead to a denial. Okay. Some countries are easier to travel to than others. For example, I worked in a Russian speaking country, and we would and there we thought we knew that applicants that had traveled to the EU, who had traveled to France, Germany, countries like that, were probably better applicants. Applicants who had traveled to the UK or had traveled to Japan, those were probably better applicants. But the applicants who had not traveled abroad at all, we just weren't sure if they were going to use their visa appropriately. So that's why we would consider some countries to be good travel and some countries to be not good travel. And we would put more faith and credit for those applicants who had actually traveled to the good countries. So
Right.
and that's going to vary from country to country. So in India, they may not consider Pakistan or Nepal a good travel. But if someone is traveling from South America, maybe them going to India and Nepal, would be considered a good travel because, hey, it's far away. It's expensive to get there. There's got to be some reason why they went there. So it all depends.
So true. So true.
Do you
Thank
think
you
that,
so much for
do you think that's,
being.
is that,
Yes.
did I,
Sorry.
do you think I covered that, Nipsa?
Yes, I think so
Good,
also, Arsia. I mean, that
good,
was very elaborated. So I hope that you got your answer and keep commenting if you have more.
great, great. If
Well,
that didn't
at
answer
this
the question,
moment,
go ahead and drop it in the comments, and I'll see what I can follow up.
yes, so keep commenting. And surely, even if we cannot take them all up right at the moment, we will have Eric answer them for you for sure. All right, so Eric, at this moment, I wanted to take up another comment which actually
Hmm.
came up in our WhatsApp messages.
Hmm.
So that is here actually. So
Yes.
this person is saying, I had applied for a college in USA in Boston. I
Hmm.
was accepted, but the visa officer had refused my application.
Hmm.
But this had happened 20 years ago. Can I
Okay.
still apply for a B2 visa to visit my family in Boston? Or will I get a 214B?
Yeah, you can definitely reapply. Like I said, you can apply at any time, and you are applying for a different category visa. So having a visa rejection under 214B, it's not a permanent ineligibility.
Mhm.
It's not. It doesn't mean that your visa is going to be permanently denied. It just means at that time, 20 years ago, you didn't qualify. Okay, 20 years ago, I don't think I would have qualified for a U.S. visa because I had just finished some volunteer service. I didn't really have my career established. I had just gotten married. I probably wouldn't have qualified 20 years ago. Okay, circumstances change, people's ties change, and they usually improve as you get older. Okay,
Mhm.
so I don't think that's going to have any effect on you being able to apply for a B1 B2 tourist visa to visit your family in Boston or in the United States now if you were refused for a student visa 20 years ago. Not a big deal. There are a few refusals that are we would consider to be a hard refusal, and these would be for some very specific conditions that can lead to a permanent ineligibility, and that means
Mhm.
that you would be permanently denied any visa to the United States.
Okay.
The main one of those is for providing false or misleading information during your visa application. and that can lead to a permanent ineligibility. So be very careful, and people should understand that's why it's very important not to provide anything but truthful and accurate information to a consular officer. Because if you get caught, the consular officer can drop the hammer, and no visa will ever be wherever you'll never get any visa at all. You will be
Mhm.
permanently denied. So that's one example of a permanent ineligibility. But if you were denied 214B, then you are welcome to reapply at any time.
Great. So I think this is a very important news and of unavoidable frauds or fraudulent activities are a total no-no. So folks, stay
Exactly.
away from all of that. Okay. All
Exactly.
right. So I think we should go for a short break now, Eric, and maybe drink some water or something warm, and then we'll get back. All right, folks, don't go anywhere. This is Nipasa Pradhan. And also, I mean, quickly, I would like to say that if you have questions or you want to contact Eric G. Morin directly, what you have to do is call him in the number 630-303-6165, and you can even email him at hello@udetivisa.com and visit this website, udetivisa.com. And folks out there, this is good news to all you folks. If you want to have a book a consultation, with Udeti Visa Expert, all you need to do is use this promo code IT People, and you will get a 15% off on your consultation. So this is good news. Yes, don't go anywhere. We will discuss further on 214B denials, and that's going to happen after this short break. Stay with us. Consultant seeking a new opportunity? We offer job placement services for US citizens, green cards, EADs, and visa holders. We also sponsor various work visas like H1B, E3, TN, and green cards. 20 plus years of experience in the industry, exceptional employee benefits, highly rated by our employees, global presence with 200 plus recruiters and direct clients. Connect with us. Call us in the number 408-335-6444 or mail us at nipa@higheritpeople.com or visit our website www.higheritpeople.com.
Officer who adjudicated over 40,000 cases, I saw many applicants struggle to communicate their purpose of travel and finances during the visa interview. With better preparation, many could have secured their visa. At Udeti, I offer one-on-one visa interview strategy sessions. Let my experience be your guide so that you can ace your visa interview.
Hello and welcome back, everyone, to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. This would be the second half because we just came back from a short break, and I hope that you're having a good time today because we're discussing about the 214B denials with none other than our guest who's joined us for the first time on this show on Immigration and Jobs Talk Show, none other than Eric G. Morin, who is an Udeti visa consultant and a retired foreign service officer. And well, with a 20-year career servicing as a consular officer in the Department of State at 10 different US embassies all over the world. It's such an honor and a pleasure to have you here with us, Eric, today. And seriously, I've been having a great time having this conversation and getting to know so much. It's been very, very insightful so far.
Well, no, I'm glad it's useful. And like I said in the very beginning, a 214B denial can be very frustrating because you don't really get a good idea of what went wrong with your visa application. So I'm happy to try to answer any questions that I can.
Thank you so much. And you were saying earlier we can go on and on talking all day about 214B. I'm sure this one episode is not going to be enough, but still, we will try our best to cover up as much. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So, Eric, I also have another question for you, and that is if you
Sure.
can provide an overview, of the Immigration and Nationality Act, INA, Section 214B.
Yeah. So so the INA was the law enacted in 1965 that basically spelled out all of the details of how the United States would permit immigration and temporary visits to the United States. So it spelled out that we have the two track system where we have both immigrant visas for people that are intending to permanently live in the United States and want to permanently reside there, and also for
Mhm.
people that are wanting to temporarily visit the United States. And so these are two parallel tracks, and the INA spells out how those how it's going to happen. Basically, the nuts and bolts of how consular officers are able to adjudicate, and it allows what authority they have to do so. Um,
Okay.
so as with any law, there are different sections and different paragraphs of the law. And the section that deals with refusing non-immigrant visas is Section 214B. And the law basically specifies that the consular officer is to evaluate an applicant's intent at the time of application to determine if whether they are intending to permanently reside in the United States or not. And if the consular officer believes that the person is planning to permanently reside in the United States, then they are not authorized to receive a tourist visa, a short-term visitor's visa. And the law
Mhm.
was specifically written that the applicant is presumed to be in violation of the law unless they are to establish to the consular officer's satisfaction that they are not. So
Okay.
what that basically means is that when an applicant comes up to a consular officer for a non-immigrant visa, the first answer out of the consular officer's mouth is going to be no, and it's up to the applicant to be able to convince the consular officer that they do qualify. And
Mhm.
and the other thing is that if the consular officer is just not certain, is not 100% certain that the applicant is going to use their visa correctly, we are trained and we are authorized to then deny the visa. And that's why so many people that may be telling the truth, that may be completely honest, that are completely forthcoming with their financial situation, with their family
Mhm.
situation, and just don't get visas. It's because they just don't overcome that very high threshold that they have to in order to qualify for the visa.
Okay. Thank you. Very nicely put in a nutshell, I think. And folks, I hope that you are with us and you're able to follow whatever we have been discussing so far. And I think, yeah, we should take up questions from the audience now since we don't have
Let's
much
do it.
time. So we will take up this one is from Hanafi. I have
Yeah.
been to US for J1 visa, but stay there only for 3 weeks
Mhm.
and not completed my J1 internship
Mhm.
because of my grandma passing away.
Mhm.
Now 4 years have passed.
Mhm.
I want to go to US for tourism.
Mhm.
Mm. I
So I think.
able to close my case with good standing with the agency and hotel. I also
Mhm.
don't have any SSN as I
Mhm.
only stay for a while. Do you
Mhm.
think it would be a negative or a positive impact on my interview?
Okay, so basically, it sounds like this person went to the United States on a J1, which for those of you who don't understand, that is for an exchange program, cultural exchange programs. But it also encompasses things like internships, like summer work and travel, like fellowships for doctors and things like that. It is a
Mhm.
non-immigrant visa that sometimes has a work authorization component. And I think
Mhm.
what this person is saying that they were going for some sort of internship with hotel management or something like that. I saw many applicants. They were usually young professionals who were working in the hotel industry. They would get this
Mhm.
opportunity to work in different sections of a hotel, and they were getting paid while they were doing this internship. So that sounds like what she was doing, or what they were doing. Then
Right.
their grandmother passed away. Family circumstances required them to come back to the United States, and so they abandoned their program. So,
Right.
the long story short, I would say no. It's not going to affect you negatively. Consular officers understand that things happen, and there's not going to be any black mark in our records showing that you abandoned if you abandoned your J1 program early and returned to the United States.
Mhm.
So, if a consular officer asks about it, just say what you said here is that I was on a J1 program, very much enjoyed it, but my
Mhm.
my grandmother passed away, and I had to come back home in order to be with my family. That's a very understandable situation, and I don't think that's going to affect you negatively at all. Um, the consular officer may see that your all J1 applicants are required to register with the Student and Exchange Visitor Information System, what they call SEVIS.
Mhm.
And the consular officer may see that you have a SEVIS hit, as we say. There might be some information in our SEVIS system about it because you did not complete your J1 program.
Mhm.
But if the consular officer just investigates and sees that you left early, you departed the country on time, and now 4 or 5 years have gone by, I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. Be prepared
Right.
to talk about that, because he may see that you have this flag from the SEVIS system as he is reviewing your case. But I don't think it's
Mhm.
anything that you should worry about.
Right. All the best, Hanafi, I would say. And in fact, if you want to discuss further with Eric, I think you should directly contact him. Visit Udeti Visa, udetivisa.com, and definitely, even contact him, email him, hello@udetivisa.com. All right. And don't forget to use this promo code IT People for a 15% discount. All right. So moving on, let's take up this next one. This is Santana.
Okay.
Santana is asking, a 24-year-old, I've
Hmm.
worked for 1 year in one company, then I moved to a
Hmm.
higher level company,
Hmm.
recently working here for 4 months till now. Will this
Hmm.
be a problem if they know I am working for only 4 months for B2, for a B2 visa?
Okay, so I assume that you have been working outside the United States. So you're in your home country. You're a young professional, probably just graduated university. You got your entry level job, and then you got a little bit of a promotion, or you moved to a better company. Um, you've only been at this new company in your home country for 4 months, and will there be a problem if they know I'm only working for only 4 months for my B2? So young professional, just getting started, maybe moved around once or twice from one position to another position in a better company. Now you are interested in applying for a B2, which is a temporary visitor visa to the United States for tourism.
Mhm.
I don't think it. No, that's not going to. I think to be a factor that you've only been at this new company for 4 months. We understand that people are going to change jobs, especially young professionals. And in fact,
Mhm.
if this is an improvement in your situation, if this is a betterment of your professional career, just say that. Hey, I started working at a smaller company, and I worked there for a couple of years, and now just 4 months ago, I've moved to a bigger company, more responsibilities, a bigger portfolio. That can be seen as professional growth, and that's something that I think goes a long way to helping you establish that you are building your professional ties to your home country.
Mhm.
So
Right.
we've talked about ties and how ties are important, and being able to show a progression, an increase in your professional responsibility and your career. I think that's a very good sign for a consular officer to see.
For sure, for sure. All the best, Santana. And I
Yep.
think, yes, it's going to be good. Don't you worry. And don't forget to also check out Udeti Visa if you need to go for further consultation. All right. Now, next, let's take up this is from Jonathan.
Okay.
Jonathan is asking, when VO denied a U sorry, when VO denied a visa,
Hmm.
when they write a note, what they usually write?
Hmm.
Do some of them add a caveat in their refusal note if they think that applicant may be qualified in the future? Does it
Um,
make sense?
Yes, no, absolutely. I think so. So as I mentioned before, when an applicant is talking to a consular officer during the interview, we are making notes, and we are giving our read of the situation of what the applicant's ties are. We're jotting down specifics about their trip and things like that. And I've done that before, especially for applicants who were on the edge, but I didn't. But I was not able to approve at that time, just because I
Mhm.
didn't want them to be adversely affected if they reapplied in a couple of years once they've been able to improve their ties. Usually, this would be young professionals who had maybe just started in the job.
Mhm.
For example, when I was in Ukraine, we saw a lot of they have a very big IT sector, and they have lots of cooperation with U.S. companies. And I would see someone coming in who had just gotten their job, not more than a couple of weeks ago, and they wanted to go with their buddies from the office, or they were being sent on a work trip or whatever, and they just weren't there. They just were just I just couldn't do it. They were just still too young. They were still too new to their career. They still hadn't traveled, and then I would put down notes. Yeah, I would sometimes put notes like, "Hey, could be qualified if more international travel and more time in the job," just to give the next consular officer a bit of a heads up that this guy was right on the line. He was right there. Still couldn't do it because, again, remember, I've got to be absolutely convinced as a consular officer, and I just wasn't there yet. But I could see that if the applicant had a little bit more job experience, a little bit more international travel, a little bit more of time at his job, he'd be good to go. And yeah, and so sometimes I would leave short caveats or short little encouragement notes saying that this person could be approvable if this was a little bit better. Yeah, we're not all mean, heartless souls. We generally do want people to be able to take advantage of traveling to the United States. And I'll just take a quick second just to say is that in the State Department, the Consular Service, we have the saying, open doors but secure borders, and that is really what we are trying to do, is to make sure is that we do open and we make advantage. We do give people the opportunity to travel to the United States and take advantage of all the great things that are going on there. But we do have to secure our borders primarily, and we do have to regulate, how visas are issued. So, and I tell you what, sometimes I would see cases of people that might not have met the tick list or the checklist that we had at our section, but I would still approve their visas because I had that ability as a consular officer. For example, when I was in a Russian-speaking country, I would approve all the grandmas that came in and applied to my window. These were usually elderly ladies whose daughters had married U.S. citizens, and now the daughter was going to give birth. Hey, I would probably issue them just left and right. My other officers thought I was crazy, but I knew because my own mother-in-law is Russian, that after a while, the guy in the United States is going to put his mother-in-law on a plane back home. There's only so much borscht and cabbage that a man can eat before he says, "Okay, honey, your mom's got to go." And so I was very confident in that, and that's why I was very lenient in issuing those visas, because we did really want to. I felt like that that this particular category was a very low risk applicant, and I saw no reason to wholesale refuse their visas. So
very nice, very interesting
into how consular officers are thinking.
Right. Well, thank you so much. And like, yes, you said open doors but secure borders, for sure. And yes, let's move on. Let's take this next question now. This next one is from Vishnu Vardhan. Vishnu is asking, hang on, please. Okay, I think anyway, we will take Vishnu's next, but let's take this next one from Muhammad. Visa could be denied due to travel history if someone have no travel history. Is it true? And when we attend the consular officer interview, the officer will be looking in the computer and typing something. What are they looking in the computer?
Okay, sure, good. All right, so let's talk about travel history first. You do not have to have a travel history in order to receive a visa. I've adjudicated lots of visas for people that have never traveled out of their home country and now are visiting relatives or their kids in the United States. So you don't have to have a travel history. Two things about travel, though. Again, like I said earlier in the interview, earlier in the program, consular officers have more faith and and place more credit on applicants that have a history of traveling outside of their country and coming back to their home country. We tend to value that more as establishing that they have a good, strong travel pattern. Second of all, consular officers are looking for applicants that have traveled to countries of concern. I'm sure you're all very aware of geopolitics, so you know what countries might be of concern If if I see someone with a visa from a particular country that might be of concern to the United States, I may want to follow up on that. Depending on your nationality, travel to certain countries can cause some extra security or administrative processing. So we do look at that. But in general, if you don't have a travel policy, it is not it's not an automatic denial. It helps you, definitely helps you, but it's not a requirement. And the
Okay.
next part of the question was, what are we writing? What are we looking at, and what are we writing?
This is from a totally
That's a good,
different person, actually. This is from Vishnu Vardhan, yeah.
yes,
So when, yeah,
that's a
good
great
question.
question, Vishnu. And Bangladesh. And you are right. We are multitasking. We are
Mhm.
looking at your DS 160 on the application that you filled out. We are looking at certain specific points of information to determine if I need to ask any follow up questions. For example, if you put down that you're going to New York, I'm going to ask you why New York. If you're going to
Mhm.
visit Tallahassee, Florida, I'm going to ask why Tallahassee, Florida, because that's not a usual tourist destination. So that may be a clue that I need to follow up and ask an additional question. It's going to get the. We're also looking at the other information like where you work, your
Mhm.
salary, where you've traveled, prior visa applications, and things like that.
Mhm.
We also can see from our. We can also can see your visa application history. So we can see how many times you've applied for visas, where you've applied for visas. In a couple of clicks, I can pull up the interview notes from your prior interview,
Mhm.
and I can see if there's any information there that I need to follow up on. Um, we're also doing we also have some other system checks that we're looking at. We usually do that in the back office, but we do check biometrics, such as FR review. We check fingerprint hits and things like that.
Mhm.
And also at the window, a lot of times I'm doing quick googling. If someone says that they work at or they're going to go visit this particular company in the U.S., I'm going to say what's that company. If someone's
Yeah.
going to says that they're going to go to a particular address, I'm going to just do a quick copy paste, throw that into Google, and to see what pops up.
Mhm.
We're definitely multitasking, and we're definitely trying to understand what's going on during the visa interview. And sometimes reading that information from the previous interviews can be to the applicant's benefit. I always talk
Mhm.
about this one example when I was in a Russian-speaking country. I speak Russian pretty good, and
Mhm.
a gentleman came up to me. He had just been refused. I popped open the visa notes from the previous interview. The note said the guy was a truck driver. So I asked him, "Are you a truck driver?" He's like,
Mhm.
"No, I own 20 trucks. I own the big rig trucks. I have 50 people working for me. I do $100 million a year in business, in trucking business." And I'm like,
Wow.
okay, that's completely different. The consular officer previously thought you were just a truck driver. No, you are
Okay.
an owner of a big, the medium-sized trucking company. That's
Right.
completely different. And I was able to pick up on that because I had the language skills in order to talk to the applicant, and I
Mhm.
checked the previous interview and I saw that there was a mistake. And with this new information, I was able to prove his visa and get him on the way.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing that. Very interesting, I would say. And well, I think you're just being vigilant, keeping a check and checking if all the information provided is real or are connecting or not. So you're just
Exactly.
connecting the dots, right? While you're
Exactly.
doing your check.
Exactly.
Right. Got it, Eric. Thank you so much for taking that up for Vishnu. Anyway, let's move on to the next quickly. And I don't know if how much time you have to stay with us, but I hope we can cover a few more before
Let's
you
do a
go.
few more. I love helping to demystify and and talk about the visa process. So yeah, happy to do so.
Thank you.
Hmm.
So, yeah, this is Mirage. There's a
Okay.
lot of Indian currently visiting Russia.
Hmm.
Is it a good stamp for B2 visa? And which
Hmm.
one do you think is stronger, Japan or Russia stamp? Thank you.
Mm, because yeah, I understand how people would have a concern about having a Russia stamp in their passports because of the current geopolitical situation. But as a consular officer, we really didn't take that into consideration.
Mhm.
The politics of the stamps. Um, we might ask about it because again, I know that a lot of Indians study in Russia. I was surprised when I worked there that there was a surprisingly large number of people from India, Pakistan, Africa, other countries that would go to Russia for medical studies. The city of Tver has a rather large medical school there that works with a lot of foreign students. So having that Russia stamp might not be that unusual.
Mhm.
I would probably ask about it as a consular officer. I think that Japan. He said the question is stronger. Which is stronger, Japan or Russia? I believe Japan has the more stringent requirements for getting a visa. So if I was going to weigh which visa stamp kind of gave more strength to a person's visa application, I would probably say Japan, just because I believe that they are much more strict
Mhm.
in issuing visas. So that's probably what I would look at.
Yes. Thank you. Very nicely put, I think. And I hope, Maraj, that answers your question.
Yeah,
If you have more questions, you can definitely visit
yeah,
udetivisa.com. That's
yeah.
where,
But
you'll
okay,
get
and let
more
me say,
details.
no,
Sure.
don't get the fake stamps. Don't get the fake stamps. Seriously, if I see if I can, consular officers are going to be very good at picking up on those fake stamps. I've seen
Hmm.
if I'm in India, you don't know. If the customs officer's in India, you don't know if he spent 3 years in Russia and can just smell out a real versus a fake Russian visa stamp. Just
Hmm.
don't do that. And consular officers are going to be able to pick up if you've traveled before. Again, don't don't try to any of those shenanigans. And I know that's very popular because I've had people ask me those questions about getting fake travel stamps. Don't do it because we have very robust fraud detection units that will
Hmm.
that can pick up on that stuff. And even if you are completely honest in everything else that you're trying to do on your application, if you get caught with
Hmm.
fake stamps, anything like that in your passport, you're done, done. So
Yes. As we said earlier, stay away from fraudulent activities.
yeah,
That
yeah.
is a total no-no.
Don't risk it. You are gonna completely burn any bridge that you have of ever going to the United States. So just don't.
There you go. Yes, and probably it's going to be illegal, and you're going to be considered as a criminal. So that's not
That
something you want to be.
and I've actually called the local police with
Mhm.
for people that had it that were in my waiting room, and I would refuse their visa. They'd walk out the waiting room, and then they were arrested by the police.
There you go. You have your answer. All right, let's take another one, Eric. At this moment, this one is from Kamalakar. I got
Okay.
refused my visa on 30th May
Hmm.
2024 in Hyderabad. Now I have visa refusal slots and I made changes to my DS 160,
Hmm.
added an internship, which I have done in my seventh semester of my
Hmm.
UG and graduated now.
Okay. Okay. So I think what he's saying is that he applied for a visa. He didn't say what type, so let's just assume it's a B1 B2 visa.
Mhm.
Could be an F1. He didn't specify, but didn't say student, so we'll just go with B1 B2. Yeah. Now you have a refusal, a visa refusal in our system. So if you reapply, you do need to indicate that you have been refused a visa. We talked about that at the beginning of the show. Um,
Right.
you've
So there is a
updated your DS
continuation.
160.
There is more information
Mm-hmm.
saying in my first attempt I was still pursuing my final semester and how to
Mm-hmm.
overcome this in my second attempt and get my visa at any cost.
Okay.
Then
Okay.
will the
Well,
VO judges what the VO
mhm.
has typed it my first refusal?
Yeah. So okay. So will the consular officer will definitely review the notes from your previous refusal.
Mhm.
He's gonna quickly do that in order to get an idea of what the consular officer prior determined about your qualifications, about your ties for the visa,
Mhm.
and then the consular officer should be able to give you an attempt to provide new information. I always did, just because that was what you were paying for. You were paying for an opportunity during that the second visa interview. You want to present new information. Okay, let's see what it is. So he said
It's an
F1. So
F1
it was a
F1
student
visa.
visa. Okay. All right. So Student visas are going to be a little bit different, not B1, B2, it's F1. Okay, thanks for the update. So for an F1 visa, that's something that I specialize in doing consultations with people that have, that are applying for or that are trying to deal with a refusal for an F1 visa, which is to
Mm-hmm.
study in the United States. You should always include the latest information in your DS-160. And so if something has changed materially
Mm-hmm.
from your previous application until now, yes, definitely put it into your into your new DS-160. That being said, the fact that you didn't have that or that internship, excuse me, the fact that you did not have that internship is not going to be sufficient in and of itself to guarantee that you're going to be able to get your visa, your F1 visa approved. There's a lot more
Okay.
going on with student visas. The consular officer is really looking to evaluate your interest in the academic program, and they are really trying to determine if you are really going to be studying and pursuing your academic degree in the United States. Um,
Okay.
so that aspect of your interview was much more important than anything about I didn't include an internship, but I did an internship, or I was a third year and now I'm graduating. Those are
Mm-hmm.
relatively minor details. What's going to help you more to be successful in your interview is to really be able to talk about why you chose that university, what you're
Okay.
going to be studying, why it is important for you to study, how
Mm-hmm.
that education is going to help you with your future career, why you chose that university. Did I say that? I might have said that. So those are the types of things. And again, that's something that I specialize
Mm-hmm.
with Udeti Visa is helping students prepare good answers for those questions.
Right.
I
I
hope that
would
helps.
say, Kamalakar, yeah, you should definitely go visit udetivisa.com, and why not have a one-on-one with Eric and maybe write to him directly. And don't forget to use IT people, for a 15% off as well.
Yeah.
And apart from that, well, you can definitely just write that you spoke with Eric on this channel, and he's sure going to be able to write to you back. Now, this next one is from Caroline. I
Okay.
am a DV 2025 selected and previously denied to
Mhm.
visit visa under Section 214B.
Yeah.
Kindly advise.
Okay, so like I said earlier in the show, there are basically two tracks, two types of visas. One is the non-immigrant visa that is
Mhm.
for temporary visits, and the other is an immigrant visa. One type of immigrant visa is called the DV, or the diversity visa. I believe it was in the 1960s or the 1970s as an amendment to the INA. Congress enacted this visa program where I believe we give out 50,000 green immigrant visas, diversity visas, to people all over the world, to countries that have not had the opportunity to send or have people immigrate from their countries into the United States. The goal
Mhm.
is to make the United States a more diverse society, to reflect all of the people in the world that want to live in the United States. And so every year, millions of people apply, but about 50,000 of them are selected. So when she says she is a DV selectee, that means that her application was chosen out of the millions of submissions. So good for you. Congratulations. Um, the DV is available worldwide in most countries. Some of the larger countries, like I believe China, Philippines, and India, I believe might be excluded. But from the rest of the world, I believe the DV is available,
Mhm.
and you can submit an application for free. And basically, what it does is, if you meet certain qualifications, you're able to you and your family are able to immigrate to the United States. You get a green card, and then you're able to live the American dream. So, but she says she was previously denied two visitor visas under Section 214B. So
Right.
the good thing is that they are two different types of visas. And with the diversity visa, your qualification for the visa is being selected. Okay, so as long as you are selected and you meet the other program requirements, such as education, you have to have, I think, a high school diploma,
Mhm.
which is the minimum, or the equivalent of work experience, which is a pretty low bar nowadays in most of the world. As long as
Mhm.
you are able to meet that requirement, you're good to go, because the program requirements are different. For a tourist visa, for a visitor's visa, you have to show that you are not intending. And if you don't show that to the consular officer, they're not going to approve their visa. For a DV, it's just the opposite. You're good if you're selected and you meet the qualifications, you're good to go. Immigrant visas are much more a paper-based type of visa where there's less judgment and there's less evaluation that goes on by the consular officer. You still have to do an interview. The consular officer still has to verify your documents. You still have to give your biometrics and things like that. But there's very much less evaluation of your qualifications. You either meet it or you don't. With a tourist visa, then the consular officer is evaluating all of the factors to determine if you qualify or not.
Okay.
Hope that helps. Good luck to you. You should be good to go as long as you have the education requirements and you do the health screening. You're good to go.
All the best, Caroline.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your question as well. And I think we will just take up one or two more,
Okay.
if that's with you, Eric.
Fine with me. Like I said, I could do
Okay.
this all afternoon.
Oh, I wish we could, I hope to have a longer session the next time, maybe.
Sure.
All right. This next one is from NBA Sheldon asking, denied after answering my sponsor's yearly income. Can I include it in my second attempt that I am on a 5-month payment plan, aside by 50% tuition scholarship, and I was not able to explain my funds well?
Okay. Sure. So it sounds like that he's applying for a student visa to travel to study in the United States.
Mhm.
For student visas, in addition to talking about your educational plans and establishing that you are a legitimate student, another major thing is finances, because you as the applicant have to establish that you are able to pay the tuition fees.
Mhm.
College in the United States is not cheap. Trust me, I'm a father of 2 boys. Okay, one in university and one's about to go to university. I know it's not cheap. Okay. So you have to be able to show that you have the funds. You were able to get a tuition scholarship, which is excellent. Congratulations on that. When you talked about your sponsor's yearly income, I guess the question is your sponsor your father? Was it someone in the United States? Was it a distant relative? It sort of depends. When I was interviewing student visas, finances were the last thing that I looked at because I wanted to make sure the student was a legitimate student, knew the program, and their educational reasons were solid. Because if they didn't meet any of that qualifications, it didn't matter how much money they had, I wasn't going to approve their visa. So I would look at the finances last. If you have a scholarship, that definitely goes a long way. What I advise in my consultation sessions is to be able to accurately describe, who is helping you pay for your education, and you can help yourself by understanding and knowing if what your sponsor is doing. I'm assuming your sponsor might have been your father. Let's assume it was your parent. Okay, so a good answer is always to say, well, here's how I'm paying for it. I have, $10,000 in savings, or my family has $10,000 in savings. My father is a government employee who makes, $20,000 a year, and my mother is a nurse and she makes $15,000 a year, and I'm going to take out a loan for $80,000. Putting that all together is going to help the consular officer feel more comfortable that you're going to be able to meet that financial obligation
Requirement. Yeah.
So when you mention the income, the consular officer is like, well, wait a minute. If this guy's going to the States and the tuition is $50,000, he's got half off, so he's got to come up with $25,000, and his dad makes $10,000 a year. That doesn't make financial sense. But maybe you have savings, maybe you have property, or you or your family have property. Maybe you're going to take out a loan. When you reapply, that's when you need to be able to clearly show to the consular officer that you meet that financial obligation. Okay. Also, when you do that, when you go for your second interview, bring proof of that, because the consular officer in the first time probably said, nope, no finances, no good. So the new consular officer is going to want to make sure that you meet the financial obligation. So bring copies of your personal bank statement. Bring copies of your parents' bank statements. If you have a
Mhm.
loan guarantee, bring that. You know, and understand and be able to talk about your parents or sponsors' finances. Um, I had lots of kids who came from wealthy families, but they just couldn't tell me what their parents did. They didn't know. They didn't ask. Parents didn't tell them. But
Mhm.
I didn't. A lot of times I didn't get too concerned about that because obviously I could tell they were wealthy. They had lots of travel. They lived in a rich part of town. Things like that. So it's gonna be up to you to be able to really help the consul officer feel comfortable that your family has the money, can get the money.
Right.
Okay. Good luck to
All
you.
the best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not the kiss of death. If you bring new information and you're able to present it clearly and concisely and accurately, it shouldn't be a problem. But make sure
Yes.
you that you have the resources.
Right. Right. Keep in mind, I mean, new information is very important, and I hope that new information is going to support you for sure.
Yep.
And this is NBA all the way from Ghana. So thank you so much for your question. I hope that this was helpful. And you can still further go speak with Eric directly and visit his website, udetivisa.com, where you will get all the details. And you'll just keep seeing Eric's details on the screen scrolling. So don't forget to catch up. Okay. All right, so let's take this next one, Eric. This is from Mix Easy, Mixes.
Mixes.
Got
All right, mixes.
Mix Easy, I guess.
Mhm.
Got 214B last year from Dubai consulate and been in UAE in same job for past 9 years.
Mhm.
And my intention was Miramar Air
Mhm.
Show, San
Cool.
Diego, and been attending the air show in UAE from past 9 years.
Mhm.
Yeah, that
Okay.
is it. I'm looking
Okay.
for more information if
So
there is.
I guess
But
I'm gonna assume mixes that you're wondering like how can I strengthen my application? Why did I get refused? Hmm. I don't know. Again, there could be various reasons why the consular officer didn't feel that you met the burden or overcame the burden of 214B to qualify for the visa. Um, I don't know what you applied in Dubai, and I don't know if you are a Emirati national or if you are a third country national. I know that there are a lot of guest workers. There are a lot of people from India and Philippines and Pakistan working
Mhm.
in Dubai and UAE, Emirates. So I don't know. You've been working for the job for the past 9 years. That's a good work history. But it
Mhm.
depends on your job, on your position. Depends on on your other prior international travel. Just lots and lots of different factors go into making a determination if a person's overcomes the 214B or not. I said it before. I'll say it again. I've been at the window and I have believed 100% every word that came out of the applicant's mouth, but I still refused them because they still just did not, in my view, meet the qualifications.
Mhm.
So, you could be completely honest and completely forthright and still not be successful. If you are going to reapply, I like the fact that you're able to articulate a very specific purpose of travel, which is cool. I grew up in the home of the Blue Angels, so I've been to a lot of air shows myself. So I know exactly how thrilling those can be. And actually that's something that I would look at is, let's say I would be talking to a person that wanted to go run the Boston Marathon. I'd be like, well, tell me about the marathons you've run, and the fact that you're able to pursue this passion you've been pursuing in where you're working now, and you want to do that
Mhm.
in the U.S. That builds to me that builds a lot of credibility on why you're traveling. So good luck to you. Take another shot. Maybe you've got some more experience now at your job. If you've got some more international travel, that would be new information.
Mhm.
So good luck to you if you're going to take a shot.
For sure. All the best to Mixes. And I think you
Yep,
should just write to
definitely.
Eric directly if you want more clarifications. Just email him hello@udetivisa.com and also visit the website udetivisa.com. All right. And by the way, we took up Caroline's question a little time earlier, and she says, Thank you. Thank you, Caroline. And now we'll take this last question before we wrap up our show today. And that is from Site 78. What is the section that consular officer you paid attention the most in the DS 160? Do they see someone have bachelor's degree or not for B2 visa? Or this, yeah,
Yes,
yes.
so that's a great question. And Site 78, thank you very much for your compliment. I appreciate that. Thank you very much for your kind words. So what is the most important section in the DS 160? Let me think about that. Because the DS 160 as an interviewer was important for me because it kind of guided the conversation, and it kind of guided what questions I was going to ask based on what I saw there. So your question is specifically about the B. If it's noted that you have the BA or not, a bachelor. I'm assuming that's bachelor of arts degree, like a university 4-year university degree. There is a section on the DS 160 that does show that does ask for your educational level, and I believe
Mhm.
you can include that. It's that is in itself is not the most key thing that I was looking at as a consular officer. I think for me, I was looking at why the person was traveling to the United States. So I would be looking at where they were going, their point of contact in the U.S., and their length of stay. That's probably what I would be looking at first, because then that guides. Oh, you're going to go visit your son or daughter in the United States. Well, tell me about your son or daughter. Oh, you're
Mhm.
going for business meetings in Detroit. Okay, who are you going to be meeting with? Oh, you're going to be visiting the air show in the Miramar Air Show. Okay, tell
Mhm.
me about your prior air shows. Why do you want to go to Miramar? Things like that. I would be drilling down and trying to get specifics about that travel, um, because I could learn a lot by reading the people of how they answered the questions, and drilling down and doing a couple of questions like that really gave me a lot of information if I thought that they had a credible purpose of travel. That's also something
Mhm.
that consular officers look at: is the purpose of travel credible? Is this something that is credible and believable and genuine? Um,
Mhm.
One of my favorite stories. I've got 20 years with them working as a consular officer, but one of my favorite stories was in the Philippines. I was interviewing a gentleman who told me that he wanted to go see the apple blossoms in Washington State. In American Washington State, we have lots of apple trees, and he wanted to go visit the apple blossoms. And so I thought, okay, when are you going to go visit the apple blossoms in Washington State, sir? And he
Mhm.
said, well, December or January. Now think about that. When do apple trees usually blossom? Well, in the northern hemisphere, they usually blossom March or April. So that did not make sense to me, and so that was not a credible purpose of travel for me. And then I was able to quickly end his interview because he did not convince me that why he was going,
Mhm.
the reason why he was going to the United States. So simple as that. So for me, going back to the question, I think the purpose of travel and point of contact, that because that tells me so much more about where I need to start interviewing.
Mhm. Keep it transparent, friends. I'd just say keep it, I mean, keep it clear, keep it transparent. You're never going to have trouble.
If you're gonna go visit your brother, put down you're gonna go visit your brother. If you're gonna go to an air show, tell me you're gonna go to an air show. If you're going for business meetings, tell me who you're gonna meet with.
Mhm.
We'll figure something out. We want to be accommodating, but when people start playing shenanigans, like, oh, I have this invite for a conference, and you don't know anything about the topic of the conference, that's very easy for me to deny you right then and there,
So true.
and
So
then
true.
you're done. So just
Keep it
just avoid
simple.
the
Yes.
shenanigans. Avoid the shenanigans.
Yes. Keep it simple. Don't complicate things and just
Exactly.
stay true.
Exactly.
All right, so I think this is it. But let me just quickly see. Oh, Mick says is from Pakistan, and he says he wants to book a consultation. So I would say definitely check out
Perfect.
udetivisa.com, book a consultation there, and use this code, promo code IT people, and you're sure going to get a 15% discount. Thank you so much, Mick says.
Yeah.
And
Look forward to talking to you.
RJ is saying, please take my question, please. I think we'll just quickly, if you have
Sure. Let's do it.
something short to share. Okay, RJ, I got refused on my C1D visa under Section 214B. I
Okay.
reapplied again. My interview is on 28th June at Mumbai
Mm-hmm.
consulate.
Mm-hmm.
What is the best answer? What changed? Did what change did you what
Okay.
changes did you make since your last interview? Please answer.
Gotcha. Okay, so RJ, please tell me, the C1D is a particular type of visa. It's for crew members, usually for crew members who are either air crew or working in the shipping industry, such as deckhands, mechanics, engineers on cargo vessels. So tell me exactly what is your if you could just drop into the chat, tell me what's your position. Where are you working?
RJ, if you could quickly tell us. And by the way,
Yeah.
Choi, one of our viewers, is also answering RJ, saying, "Be confident. Just tell them I am nervous back then, but now I am ready for my CID. Oh, sorry, C1D. I
C1D.
hope present, well time. Well, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
if you could quickly tell us, RJ.
Yeah, RJ, if you could follow up because that's an important point. But so chef, okay, gotcha. So you were applying probably
Chef,
to go to work on a cruise ship
as a chef,
as
as
a
a chef.
ship. Yeah, Carnival Cruise. Okay, perfect. Okay, I gotcha. Um, so a C1/D visa, pastry chef. Gotcha. So a C1D visa, for those of you who are not aware, is basically a transit or a crew member visa, usually issued to people who are either working for airlines or working in the shipping maritime industry. In the United States, we have a large cruise ship industry sailing out of Florida and to a lesser extent California and Alaska. And these cruise ships have massive number. These cruise ships have massive number of people that work on them, anywhere from pastry chefs to musicians to shop attendants to lifeguards, and usually these are people that are recruited from India, Pakistan, Philippines, Ukraine, Russia, places like that to go and work on these cruise ships. Um, I'm guessing that this was probably your first attempt to go for a C1D visas.
Mhm.
Usually, C1D visas are pretty straightforward applicants because they have the professional recommendation and accreditation of their manning agency or the crewing agency, and usually consular officers are able to pretty quickly go through C1D visa applicants because their main tie for their job for their visa is their job, and because these are usually highly lucrative jobs because they're on the ships. They're not spending a lot of money. They're working a lot of overtime. It can be fairly lucrative. I have refused when I was interviewing. I would refuse C1Ds usually if the person did not have a lot of experience, or if I felt that the person was might use this opportunity to enter the United States and then disappear on the C1D. Chunk ship is kind of the term we would use. So that was why I would refuse it. But usually refusals for C1Ds are rare. Um, I'm going to assume that it was probably because this is your first contract and you were just getting started
Mhm.
working for this cruise, for Carnival. So if you're going to go back again, I would say probably have some. My suggestion would be to have some good answers as to your professional experience, how you were able to qualify for the job as a pastry chef, and
Mhm.
and how this job is going to be beneficial for you for either the financial reasons why it's beneficial for you to work this job and do as many cruises as possible, or the professional, like you're going to be able to learn from some experienced pastry chefs, and you're going to develop your professional skills. So
Mhm.
talk about that when you go for your interview. Refusals for C1Ds are pretty rare. So I think the consular officer just didn't believe that this is really going to be your first contract. So
Mhm.
good luck to you.
I think it's going to be fine, RJ. All the best. You have it all. You just have to go present yourself, and yeah,
Yeah,
all the best. You got it. Okay, don't doubt that.
yeah.
And thank you so
I
much.
like what Troy Beckett said about being confident. That's really good. And just the
Yes,
last thing. Oh, thank you,
Barker.
Leonker. Thank you very much.
You are most energetic, enthusiastic former visa you officer I
Thank you.
have ever
I
seen.
appreciate the
You
kind
got
words.
it.
I appreciate the kind words. You're very kind. Um, the last thing, just in closing, let me just take 2 seconds and let me give everybody a piece of advice that I give to every one of my clients and that was going to cost you nothing and is going to help you tremendously when you go for your interview. Okay, Nipsa, are you ready for this?
I
Okay.
am. I am.
It's a one word, breathe. Okay. Going to the embassy can be very confusing. You get up in the morning, you're a lot of people, it's crowded, it's noisy. If you're in India or Pakistan, it's probably going to be hot, right? Um,
Right.
there's going to be lots of lines. You're going to be moving from place to place. You're going to be going here and then going there, and then you're suddenly in the interview window, and then your number is called, and bang, you're talking to the consular officer, right? Okay. Before that happens, take a deep breath. Take 3 deep breaths.
I know. So helpful.
Just that. That's going to lower your blood pressure. That's going to reduce your heart rate. It's going to calm your mind, okay, so that you can go up and you can be calm, and it's going to and not nervous, and you're going to be able to focus on what the consular officer is saying, and you're going to be able to respond appropriately. Just taking that 10 seconds to do those deep breaths is going to be so beneficial. So I advise every one of my clients to do that because it's going to help. And I can't tell you how many people that I've talked to that were obviously nervous and couldn't communicate well just because of how anxious they were. So just taking that time, taking a couple of deep breaths, it's going to help you. It's free. I promise you, it'll be useful.
What a piece of advice, really. I mean, in any walk of life, I think we really need that. So just take your time to breathe. Don't stress too much. I mean, whatever is, it already is. And you got it in you. Just have that faith. And I think, Eric, this was not enough, 214B or anything else. I really
Mhm.
hope you can come back and visit us again for another session. I hope you will.
I'd love to. I'd love to.
Thank you so much. So we will have you back again. And folks out there, thank you so much for being so wonderful, so participative. I'm sure Eric had a wonderful time answering all of your questions. And once again, Eric,
Absolutely.
thank
Yes,
you
I
so
did.
much for doing this today.
Yes, I did.
Have a great day. We will keep in touch, and I hope to have you back very, very soon, Eric.
Looking forward to it. Thank you, everyone, for your questions. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. And folks, the details are on the screen. If you want to have a one-on-one with Eric directly, maybe go tell him more about your case and have a consultation. Call him on the number 630 303 6165, and you can even email him hello@udetivisa.com and visit his website udetivisa.com. Eric G. Morin, who is Udeti Visa consultant and retired U.S. Foreign Service officer. Thank you so much for today. Have a great day ahead, Eric.
Thank you. You too. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. So, friends, when you go visit or book a consultation with udetivisa.com, don't forget to use IT people as the promo code. You will get a 15% discount. And thank you so much. Seriously, this episode was really very overwhelming. And thank you, all you folks, for all these wonderful comments and questions and for participating. And if you're watching this after the stream has ended, you keep commenting if you have questions. We also have our experts who will be very happy to answer to you and get back to you with maybe a direction, a little guide, a tip, or whatever it is that you are looking for. Everything based on immigration and job. So thank you so much. This is Nipasa Pradhan signing off for now. Also, I mean, if you are looking for a project placement, green cards, EADs, or anything related to immigration or jobs, feel free to contact me as well. You can call me on this number. You can even WhatsApp me on this number. My number is 408 335 6444. You can email me, nipa@higheritpeople.com. And to get to know more about us, visit our website, www.higheritpeople.com. Have a great day, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. And of course, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe because we have so much to share with you. And thank you so much once again. Bye bye. Consultant seeking a new opportunity? We offer job placement services for US citizens, green cards, EADs, and visa holders. We also sponsor various work visas like H1B, E3, TN, and green cards. 20 plus years of experience in the industry. Exceptional employee benefits. Highly rated by our employees. Global presence with 200 plus recruiters and direct clients. Connect with us. Call us in the number 408-335-6444 or mail us at nipa@higheritpeople.com or visit our website www.higher